Hello, and a very warm welcome to our 13th Democracy Talk. My name is Diana Treviño. You may know me already. I will be moderating our session today, and I'm very happy that we could invite Maria Rosa Buxarrais today of the University of Barcelona, and she will be speaking about how to educate in a pluralistic and democratic society with a focus on higher education and universities. Just in brief, Maria Rosa is the lead researcher in the research group of moral education of the University of Barcelona, and she's very experienced in moral education research and research in educational and curriculum theory. So this is just a brief introduction of you, Maria Rosa. So I would like to hand over to you, and you can also feel free to introduce yourself and start sharing with your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm trying to share my PowerPoint. I prepare. Well, I am professor, as you say, from the University of Barcelona and a member of this research group. This research group, we have been doing research from more or less 30 years. And when we began to do research, we did in schools, first of all, with action research, more or less, in order to know what's the schools and what the teacher wants to do in education for democracy. And then we work not only from the primary and secondary schools, but also we think it's very important to train teachers and beginning to train teachers at the university. Now we have a program that we not only train teachers in teachers for example, for primary and secondary schools. We train teachers from university teachers, and it's more difficult. Before we worked with training teachers, we add another job that is designing materials and promoting these new strategies to apply in schools and in environments and different environments. I want to begin today delving into a pertinent question for contemporary higher education, is how to educate in a pluralistic society as our society. And first of all, there is some social challenges that we should take in account, because in order to change this kind of challenges, for example, this globalization and these technological advancements, intense competitions, and a growing individualism, crisis of meanings, or crisis of the meaning of life, for example, for the young people. We have ethical and social challenges too. And another thing, it's this fragility of human relationships and socioeconomic inequalities, and more culturally induced infantilization. This last one, it's the last observation of some authors that say that with all the media, with all the social networks, the adults change, and the adults became children sometimes. And then before that, we should to analyze which are the values most promoted in this our democratic society, and which are the values less promoted. The ethical values in vogue, we think now, in that moment, we respect for individual freedom, we have passive tolerance of difference, and we think that there are ideological, religious, and cultural pluralism, of course, and there is a great desire for personal self-realization, and we can see this kind of ethical values in social networks and in media, of course. And maybe these are the best. There is another one, but we consider the main important ethical values, because then we work in that way with our professors or with our teachers. The ethical values in crisis, now we consider, for example, the culture of effort. Every time people has less feeling to have things, to achieve things with effort. And then another value in crisis, we think it's the sense of responsibility and the sense of belonging to the community. And in my opinion, commitment it's one of the less values we should do something to promote it, because now it's in crisis. Solidarity and respect for authority, the same. Professors lose some authority in front of their students, and we have preference for democracy as form of government. And we can see, for example, the last elections in USA, that it's for me it's like a signal of this thing. And another value in crisis, the sense of transcendence. And now we think that we can learn ethical values in different ways, and we should put together these 4 ways to learn in order to be aware in our commitment in being a good professor. We think people learn by tradition, by people who speaks about their life, for example, exemplars of some. There is another is by construction, this self-development and self-construction of the values scale, or the values, the hierarchy of values. And then another is by observation and modeling. Of course, is the best common way to learn these ethical values. And then by living experiences, living in the life, you practice and exercise some values, and you can, with the interaction of others, to have these values. Then in our model, for example, we consider three areas that we should work in it in a school and in universities too. And these three areas are, for example, the social moral area dimension, the living together, or we say conviviality, but it's not a good word in English, but it's the social part, and then this part of personal, that is self-construction. And we should work together, we should develop together, not only one. I think we should find the coherence and equilibrium among the three areas. And in each area, we trying to do some strategy in order to promote this area. For example, in social moral reflection, one of the strategy we use is the discussing moral dilemmas. And we can do some activities about media and be critical, doing some exercise of critical understanding. And then we can do another kind of strategies, for example, promoting social skills or promoting dialogue, and knowing how to dialogue better, how to listening to people, and trying to express better yourself. And another example could be this part self-construction, that you can learn about you thinking of you, of your beliefs, your values, your interactions, and how you dialogue with other people. And there is another thing that all of this area, all of this strategy, we have one objective, one different objective, but we try to direct our strategies, for example, to acquire an adjusted self-concept. It means that people know themselves every day better in the interiority of themselves. And then to show judgment and action consistency, this capacity of dialogue, develop social skills, and accept, for example, to build rules for this coexistence or living together, and to know information of moral relevance with ethical issues. And this is learning involved in social and civic competences in order to promote this education for democracy. After that, we think the ethical competences are more or less, there are more than this is only a sample of ethical competences we are working on. For example, to understand community as something specifically theirs, and to be aware of belonging to it. Being aware to belong in a community is like a human need that we should cover. And another ethical competencies is to have the capacity for dialogue, respect, and tolerance. And we should learn some skills in order to finding information and enforcing one's rights and sensitivity to the common good. This common good is another objective of our moral education strategies, because it's easy, for example, to be individualistic, but it's difficult to promote this common good in people. It's one of the, I say always that it's a challenge of us to promote this common good. And another ethical competencies is to be able to judge critically the information we receive from the media, from the teachers, the families, social networks. To be critically is, as you know, one of the ethical competence important in a democratic society. And another one is to become involved in solving social problems, not only in the local community, but also at the national and global level as well. And now we have example here of young people in Valencia, the problem of the Dana. Some people goes there, and this is important to see, and it's very, we are happy to see that the people involved in this kind of social problems and in this kind of situations, that very terrible situation they have living in now. Well, and this, we think that in higher education, we should fix our attention in the third dimension of ethical competencies. The third dimension is the ethical dimension linked to these values, the justice, the dignity, and the human rights, the three values that are very important. We can also work in of course, in the transmission of knowledge in different areas, and we also work in political and social dimension, linking to these democratic principles. But the last one is, the third one is this dimension that is linked in another dimension, that is this ethical commitment. For us, the problem is to do coherent what I think, what I am feeling, what I am saying, and what I am doing. And the doing is to have an ethical commitment. This ethical commitment is the first objective in higher education, because we should train competent professionals at the university, of course, but we want not only experts in a field, we want people who has this capacity for reflection, for be critical, for participation in the society and doing something good for the society. And why do we talk about this ethical commitment in higher education? Related to ethical competences, of course, is one of the ethical competences. And because, as you know, European University is an institution that creates this new economic and social and ethical order. And there are all the documents about university of the 21st century speaks about this question, this ethical commitment. And as I previously said, there are some characteristics of the society that now force us to, or it's urgent to speak about these things in higher education. And how is a commitment matter? This because we not only want professionals and technical scientific training people. We want people who has this ethical commitment in the society: justice, equity, sustainability, gender equality, multiculturality. There are all values that we should promote in nowadays, because they are all important for create this democratic society. And is one ethical commitment is about having moral habits, not every day thinking of doing something good. If you should have in everyday life this habit to be commitment in our every action we do. And which is our test in this kind of thing. We saw that ethical commitment and ethical competence, the two of them has two characteristics. For example, students at the university, well, not only students, also professors, has lack of information about these terms, these concepts. What is this? What is ethical commitment and what is ethical competencies? And not only this, they have also lack of moral training. In our university, maybe we here, because now I have a position in the university in order to organize training teachers of university professors, and I have the opportunity to give them some training teachers about moral. But if not, there is few universities that promote this kind of training. And we thought that we can do some few things in order to change how the university works. For example, in methodologies, in teaching methodologies, there is important to work with methodologies where you can discuss, you can share your opinions, you can do questions and answers, and you can even do research in how people are learning these moral values. For example, we should claim that it's important to recover the classic texts. The classic texts, that means that we should read another time to Aristotle, to Socrates, this kind of authors that there are in the ancient Greek, but the texts of that they are saying are nowadays the same. We can reconstruct these classic texts in nowadays texts. And there is another kind of strategy we use. It's service learning, because service learning, you do some action very good for society, and then you can learn about your specialty or your career. And then there is another, and we can do more problem-based learning, of course, and more. Maybe this strategy are related to strategies that you are active, not passive, not only listening to the professor, but also doing something that doing this exercise promotes your knowledge about moral things, ethical values, critical comprehension, and so on. And another thing, it's evaluating the ethical commitment of the teachers in the university, of the professors. For example, if the professors work together, sharing knowledge, sharing opinions, and how they are doing a team themselves in order to be exemplars to the students. Sometimes we ask the students that works together, works in a team, and then the first exemplar is the professor. The professor should have a teamwork in order to show the students what they are doing, and the improve you can share in the actions. And then there is another thing we do, and I present now briefly. It's measuring ethical competences. We create a scale, and then I speak about it. And the ability of solving ethical problems is another thing. And tutoring our students in trying to solve problems of the society. And as I say, we create some years ago a scale. The name of a scale is Ethical Citizenship Competencies, and in our research group. And this we achieved this scale because we began, as I say, working in schools, and we have a scale that we can evaluate, we can assess the profile of each student in order, which are these dimensions I previously said. These dimensions, these three areas, for example, the personal area, the socio-moral area, and the social area, how they improve these areas, how they develop, and we have this scale. And because we saw that it's important to use this scale in order to be aware how is your development, then we transform the items to a higher education environment. And we have this scale. We present, we trying, for example, these three dimensions I mentioned before. And this scale is first person statements that not only helps you to know what are you thinking about, which are your behaviors, but also then if you do this, you can have a profile, and this profile could be individual, it could be collective in one group of students. And then if you have a group and they want to do this kind of exercise, then you can detect if they prefer to do some strategies in order to promote self-construction, or if they need, for example, to learn more about dialogue, or if they need to have more skills on participation. This is the scale. And for example, here some examples in the self-construction. There is a statement: I act impulsively. I assume my obligations as a student. Another is living together. It's very difficult for me to put myself in the place of others. I show my disapproval in situations of discrimination. And socio-moral reflection, I refrain from giving my opinion on controversial issues. In the event of conflict, I identify the situations that have given rise to it. This is examples, but we have 36 of these kind of statements, and at the end you can show if a profile, and then you can show if which are the areas you should improve more than others. Thank you. And now, if you want, ask me some questions, because it's very brief. I am trying to express many years of research and many years in 20 minutes. It's not easy, very difficult for me, but I'm trying to do my best. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Maria Rosa, because you provided us a very, very broad overview of your work and how you use different methods, which is the baseline for your training, so to say, your offer. So I think this was very, very good, and thank you very much. I have took note of many questions, but I also invite our participants here in Zoom and also in YouTube. If you have any questions you want to raise, please let me know. So, but I would like to start with my first one, and this was a question which raised totally in the beginning. When you said that we have values that are in vogue and values that are less in vogue, do you have an idea why this shift has happened, or what could be the reasons for the focus on certain values, but the rejection of other kind of values?
Yes, I think values are dynamic. Every historic situation, or every historic time, you have different values that are more visible than others. And maybe now we have these visible values more than others, and maybe I don't know, but 30 years ago, effort is a very important value for people and for children. And now it's not, because the society changed, and we have the technology that offers us very speed things in very short time. And sometimes this kind of movement of society change the priority of the values, and we should make research in that way, in which are the values now and which are, and this classification of values I provide from sociologists, that people who are thinking on this kind of values, what's happened now different from the other. But the values, I think, don't disappear. The problem is they are dynamic and changing by the moment, the historical moment, and society.
Yes. Yes, I would just a comment before I let Carsten speak. But I think this is interesting because we are in Europe, at least, we have many countries that are democracies, that have democracies, and that like democratic competencies like social commitment, etc., are shifting away. This should be the opposite, no? But yeah. So
yeah.
okay, then Carsten, your question, please.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for the presentation. I really have two questions. One is regard to what you presented there regard the judgment of information. And you focused on critical thinking to judge information. We here with my colleague Daniel has made a fake news experiment to see how the people identified fake news and how they share it, and if they share it. And it seems the problem of sharing information is a main problem in regard to the split up of dissemination, misinformation and disinformation. So there comes in then the ethical problem, how a user who identified misinformation will not share it. This is, I believe, an ethical problem. And the other one is what we also see in the Democrat project, is that the main issue is the preparation of the teachers for democratic teaching. So one question is what you present at the end as a scaling of measurement of pupils' ethical behavior. And the question comes up if it not be an idea to make this also for the teachers and the university professors. Because we know that not all university professors have a very good ethical behavior. So probably it should be the first step when we go there to teaching ethics at university to see if really the university professors have an ethical behavior. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I began for the end, the last question. Sure, we did some research on trying to realize that professors needs, for example, this kind of training more than the students sometimes, because we should begin with the professors in order then professors promote this moral education or this education for democracy. But the problem is sometimes professor thinks that they are good in that way, but they are good and they don't see that it's important for them to do this kind of training. But despite this, we do a research. We did a research 5 years ago, more or less, in a group of professors of the Faculty of Education, trying to see how they assess themselves in this kind of the three areas, and they have some lacks or some problems, but no many. No, I think the people who say yes, I want to be assessed, are the best professors. That the professors that they don't need maybe this kind of training, and I think it's the situation. And then now they ask us, why don't do this with our students? And then we did with the students of these professors that say they are good professors in ethical commitment and ethical competencies. And we did with the students, and students, yes, it's like a tool that they use in order to know which kind of activities are better for doing with the students than in order to promote this critical dimension. And related to this, for example, we know that there are fake news, misinformation, and for this we should do some activities at university in order they can try, or they can do a workshop in order to know or to identify which are fake news or not, and which kind of information they should share or not. and it's not easy because in that way professors has less knowledge of these networks, the social networks, and how to disseminate this misinformation. I think the problem is then we should promote the digital competences more than ethical competences. The two will be together, not only ethical competence, also digital competences nowadays in professors of the university. I thought I don't know if I answer the question, but more or less is this: the professors are, some of them, reluctant to do this kind of work in themselves. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Maria Rosa. Now I see a question from Georgios, so please go ahead.
Yeah, Diana, and many thanks to Maria Rosa. I wanted to ask you, I understand that you are trying to do research on basic things that were for granted perhaps before, that there is ethics, that the society has to follow ethics or whatever. The context, whether it's electronic or whatever, if we had strong ethics, it should work, I suppose. And if the whole of society, like Karsten said, also teachers and parents were ethical models, it would work also in the cyber environment. But for me, I think perhaps the cause of all these problems is that democratic education in the past has focused on rights, always rights of this group, rights of that other group, rights of everybody, but not on responsibilities, which is exactly the effort you have to make to deserve to be part of a society and to contribute, not just ask others to do things for you. And honestly, it's very painful to see, but even in Valencia with the floods, when people were waiting for the government to save them, I mean, you can say that the government was useless or whatever, the local government, whoever was responsible, but once you see things coming or when things happen, you cannot insist on your rights. You have to take the spade and do things yourself, and they eventually did that. I see it in Greece here the same. I mean, people wait for the municipality to clean up the bushes, which are dry, before a fire starts. In the past, I used to go with my grandfather, my father, to clean them up ourselves. I mean, there was also a community arranged service for that. No money, no municipality officially, but things were done. So can you see, I mean, when did we lose it, and how can we bring it back in an organic way, not necessarily too scientifically, but in practice? Thank you.
Yeah, yes, it's a good question, because this part I say culture promotes the infantilization of adults. I think it's this sometimes adults thought that you can do yourself things, but now it's the government, the state, me no. I ask for others to solve my problems, and not doing something myself in order to solve it. And I don't know, but I think as we forget to focus in responsibilities, now we have people who has no who doesn't feel responsible of everything they did or what's happened in the society, you know. And as you say, for example, we work nowadays. I am working with families in moral education, and families has the same problem. They left the education of their children to the school because they think that they are not experts in doing this, and this is an excuse, because they say it's easy to give the responsibility to others than to give the responsibility to educate for the parents. And I think it's a characteristic of our society, the responsibility outside of us. It's not us, no? And an easy excuse to is like I mentioned the common good. The common good is thinking not only in your needs or your beliefs, thinking in the common intercultural. We are different people in a society, and different people with different needs, and sometimes we should sacrifice our own needs, promoting this common good. But people, I think, they don't think about this. Mostly of the time, they don't think that we are people from our society, from a society, and the society is for everyone, and each one of us can contribute in a minimum thing to do the society better. And I am sometimes, well, now at that moment I am pessimist, because working with families, I saw, for example, families who has a good disposition, of course, to coming to the sessions we organize, but then they thought, yes, we should educate our children in a society, in a democratic society, and we should do. But when you ask them, what do you do in order to promote this democratic society? And they stay in silence. They don't want to say nothing at all, because what do you do? Which actions, or what do you do every day, like in your everyday life, in order to promote your children be a better citizenship in the future? Well, in the future or now, no? But I think it's a very good question, but very difficult the answer that question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria Rosa. Now, Vanina, you also have a question.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Maria Rosa. It was a very interesting presentation. My question, I guess, comes from a perspective of someone who graduated like my master's about 2 years ago. And, you know, we have to balance the development of ethical competencies along with these pretty heavy demands of, you know, technical and professional training. And I'm wondering, how can we balance that, especially in fields where ethical dilemmas often frequently arise?
It's a good question, because for example, we did a research some years ago with professors from different faculties, from science, from humanities, from social science, and we saw that there are some degrees or some careers that are more has a very good disposition in doing this kind of discussion of ethical issues and problems, but there is others that, in spite there are ethical commitment, they prefer not to treat. We don't know if they prefer not to treat because they don't know how to do it, or they don't want to treat because they think the other things are more necessary, or there are more important in the career, no? And a balance, I think they should be a balance. For me, for my opinion, they should be a balance. It's not, you could be a good mathematician, but then if a business of mathematics asks you to do something wrong in the way of ethical thinking, then what do? You can do better, yes, better career, but I think in each profession there are ethical matters to think about it, and the problem is how to introduce in the different science the problem. But for this reason, we need training professors in how to introduce this in the contents, because it's, yes, in the university it's not only the content, it's also how to assess your students, how to do the teaching, how to improve these relationships with your students. You respect your students, you listen to them when they have a need, one personal need, which there are a variety of elements you can choose, and you can choose different that all together have ethical problems, ethical issues inside. But it's difficult to do this job, very difficult. Mm-hmm.
So I would like to come maybe to my last question. I know we could speak very much longer, but we are a little bit running out of time. So my last question is, do you receive any feedback of professors or also students that go through your ethical training? How do they feel afterwards? Do they perceive it as a benefit also for them personally?
Yes, for them personally. The problem is this, only for them personally. I would like is not only for them personally. More, I prefer to have the good for the class, good for the university, good for the society. Not yes, always in the training, they say, oh, for me, it's very good because I change my mind. I feel different, and I'm trying to do some strategy with my students. But then, and with other colleagues, do you do something to change something, to change, for example, the culture of the institution, to be more collaborative or to share your research or not? There are many things to do in the university, and I think the training teachers don't be stop to the individual benefits. They should go more farther.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, then I would say thank you very much, Maria Rosa, for joining us today, for sharing your broad expertise, also to giving us maybe today a little bit another focus, not only on the school context. And before closing the session, I would like to announce our upcoming democracy talk. And we will have our next session on the 27th of November. So in case you want to join us, Maria Rosa, you can, of course, also contribute. And we will have the time to listen to Hilmi Tekoglu of the Solidar Foundation. And he will be speaking about the ACA project, which aims to promote democratic participation and engagement. So on the 27th of November. But again, Maria Rosa, thank you very much for your participation today, and all the audience for your contribution to our discussion. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.